My dad tricked me into doubting everything about my life. My father held weekly memory court, where our family had to vote on the official version of everything that happened. And if you remembered something differently than what the majority decided, you were punished for lying about the past. He was obsessed with truth, but his version of it. He'd been a failed lawyer who got disbarred for fabricating evidence, though he claimed everyone else was lying about that too. He believed there was no objective reality, only what the most people agreed happened. He started small, insisting we all remember family vacations the same way. If mom remembered the beach being cold while dad remembered it warm, we'd have to vote. The losing memory was false, and speaking it again meant punishment. He kept detailed logs of our official family history, crossing out any memories that didn't match. He claimed he was creating family unity, everything formalized when I was 10. Dad started holding mandatory Sunday night memory court in our living room. He'd bring up events from the past week, and we'd have to establish official versions. Was dinner good on Tuesday? Vote. Was the new episode of the show we watched good? Vote. Did mom yell at breakfast? Vote. Majority ruled, and the losing memories became lies. If you mentioned your non-approved memory later, you'd lose privileges. He made us sign documents agreeing to the official version of events. He said families fell apart when people couldn't agree on their shared history. The actual truth no longer mattered. I'd remember getting an A on my test, but if my brother and parents voted that I got a B, then B became the truth. I'd have to tell teachers they were wrong about my own grades. When I showed dad my report card proving the A, he burned it and said physical evidence could be faked, but family consensus was real truth. And the votes were never fair because dad would intimidate us into siding with his version. When mom remembered him hitting her, we kids were too scared to confirm it, so by vote, it never happened. She had to apologize for lying about the bruise on her face. We had to memorize the official timeline. Dad quizzed us randomly. What happened on March 15th? If your answer didn't match the voted record, you'd spend hours in the basement writing the correct memory hundreds of times. He kept binders full of our approved history, cross-referenced and color-coded. I completely lost trust in my own mind. When 3 people insisted something happened differently than I remembered, I started doubting myself. Maybe I did fail that test. Maybe mom did trip and fall. Maybe I was the liar. Dad said this confusion meant the system was working, breaking down our selfish individual perspectives to create one ultimate family truth. And I didn't trust myself enough to know for sure if that was wrong. But one day after the family decided I hadn't had my first kiss when I knew I had, I couldn't stand it anymore. I wasn't going to let them take away the first good thing that had happened to me in years. So I started keeping a secret diary. I'd write down events immediately after they happened, before memory court could rewrite them. I hid it inside my mattress and documented every single thing, what really happened versus what we voted happened. It helped me stay sane, knowing I had proof of reality. For months, I built my record. Dad hit mom on Tuesday, but we voted she walked into a door. I was home by curfew, but they voted that I was out late and I was grounded. My brother stole $50, but we voted I lost it. I wrote it all down in detail. The diary became my lifeline. When dad tried to gaslight me about my own experiences, I'd sneak peeks at my writing to remember the truth. I finally had evidence that I wasn't crazy, that things really did happen the way I remembered them. I was building a case against our fake family history. But shit hit the fan when dad found my diary when I was at school. He called an emergency memory court and presented it as evidence of my mental illness. He made us vote on whether the diary entries were real memories or delusions. Of course, everyone voted delusions. They knew what dad would do to them if they didn't. He burned the diary in front of me while I sobbed. Then he instituted daily memory courts instead of weekly. Every single evening we had to vote on that day's events before they could contaminate our minds. He started including more distant memories too, rewriting my entire childhood. We voted that I'd always been a troubled child who made things up. We voted that dad had never hurt anyone and I was the one who hit mom, not him. He made me take medication for my false memory syndrome. The pills made me foggy and confused, which he said was proof they were working. He told my teachers I had a condition that made me remember things wrong. My own history was being erased and replaced by committee. At some point during all of this, I fell off my bike and broke my arm. That night, dad tried to make us vote on whether I'd actually broken it while I was sitting there in my cast. Mom and my brother were too scared to disagree with him, so they voted no. Dad grabbed my cast and started cutting it off with scissors, saying majority ruled. I screamed so loud the neighbors called 911. When police arrived, dad tried to explain his memory court system while holding scissors over my clearly broken arm. They arrested him immediately and called CPS, and finally I was free.